Welcome back to Programming Terms Part 2. Let's get to work. So the first word here is a bug. A bug. A bug is a mistake in a program. Let's look at the example. I think there is a bug in your program because it gives a wrong output. Pause the video to repeat the example after me. Debug. Debug. To debug is to investigate the program and fix bugs. The example: sometimes it takes all day to debug a complicated error. Comment. Comment. Pay attention to the stress here. Comment. A text written around code that is ignored by the computer. It is used for writing extra information about your code to help you or someone else understand it later. The developer didn't leave any comments in the code, so it's hard to understand it now. To the next one. Comment out. Comment out. To comment something out means to turn a piece of code into a comment with the help of special characters. When you check your code, you can comment out some lines to see how it works without them. Compiler. Compiler. A compiler is a program that converts your code into a machine code so that it can be read and executed by a computer. To an example. The compiler gave me an error. Probably I made a mistake in my code. Error. Error. An error is a mistake in a computer process. The compiler gave me a syntax error, so I should check my code carefully to find typing mistakes. Constant. Constant. A constant is a variable that never changes its value. For example, the pi constant has the value of 3.14. Crash. Crash. To crash. It's a verb actually. A program crashes when it stops running because of an error. If you try to divide a number by 0, your program will crash. Executable. Executable. Pay attention to the transcription of this word here. You have the main stress on the first syllable and then an additional stress here, so it goes like this: executable. An executable is a program which is ready to be run or executed. It is short for executable file or executable program. A common file name extension, .exe, means that it is an executable file. To the next one. Declare. Declare. To declare in programming means to say that something exists, usually a variable, a function, or a class. So we can declare a variable, declare a function, or declare a class. I've only declared a function, but I haven't written it yet. Implement. Implement. Two stresses here. Pay attention to this. The first and the main one is on the first syllable of this word, implement. To implement means to write and complete something in code. For example, to implement a function or a class. It means to write something, to declare and complete it. I declared a function and implemented it. It works well. Instantiate. Instantiate. To instantiate means to create an object from a class. I instantiated another object of the student class. It means that I created one more object of a class student. I instantiated another object. To iterate. To iterate. Or loop. To loop. To iterate is a verb. It's an action. And loop can be a noun or a verb depending on the context. So you can say this is a loop, or I loop through something, through an array, for example. A loop is a piece of code that runs itself many times. It can also be used as a verb, to loop, the same as to iterate. Let's look at the example here. I used a for loop to run this code for every value in my array. I iterate through every element in the list. I go over every element in the list. I iterate through every element. Read. Read. To read means to take some data values from another source, usually from a file or over the internet. To read information or data from something else. For example, the function reads the data from a file into a string. And the opposite action is to write. To write. To write is to send data values to another destination, usually to a file or over the internet. When you press the close button, the program writes all your data to a file before it quits. And the last term here is syntax. Syntax. Syntax is the grammatical rules of a programming language. Syntax determines if code is written correctly or incorrectly. Every programming language has its own syntax, what characters you use, how you write your code, and stuff like that. So let's look at the example. The compiler gave me a syntax error, so I should check my code carefully to find typing mistakes. If you have a syntax error, something is written not correctly, not according to grammatical rules of a certain programming language. So this is it with programming terms at this point. We've learned a lot of terms that apply to almost all programming languages out there, so it's really good to know them and to use them correctly. However, I know that all of you specialize in different programming languages, different tools and environments. So I would recommend you to go on YouTube and watch tutorials on your programming language specifically. This will help you develop and improve your vocabulary, get lots and lots of useful phrases and words. So I wish you the best of luck with learning programming and learning English with programming. See you in the next lesson. Bye.